Define the difference
Yeah.
between hallucination and
Yeah.
vision.
I think we need to get some terminology straight here. We're apt to be misled. On the one hand, there is what we might call an ordinary appearance of something that we perceive through the medium of our five senses. Our eyes receive light rays or photons which go through or strike the retina, communicate electrical impulse along the optic nerve and is transmitted to the brain, and we see a visual appearance of that thing. That would be ordinary perception. In addition to that, we could talk, however, about a visionary seeing, in which case ordinary perception is not used, but this would be a purely intramental sort of seeing, and a vision would be an intramental seeing of something that someone standing beside you wouldn't perceive themselves through the ordinary medium of sense perception. But visions could be of two sorts. There could be a veridical vision or a non-veridical vision. A veridical vision is the actual seeing of something without having the means of sense perception. You see the object even though you do not see it via your five senses. A non-veridical vision, on the other hand, would be what we would call a hallucination. It's purely a projection of the percipient's own brain. It's not caused by God. It's not an actual seeing of the thing. It's hallucinatory. It's illusory. And so we need to distinguish these types of visual appearances of things if we're to talk without confusion concerning what these appearances were.
Can you give me an example of both vertical and horizontal?
Right. An ordinary appearance, for example, would be the resurrection appearances as they're described in the Gospels, where Jesus appears in the upper room. He's physically present. He eats food in front of the disciples. He invites them to touch him and feel him. This would be an ordinary appearance of an extra-mental object in the external world. If there had been people there with tape recorders and cameras, they would have had photographic and audio images of Jesus appearing in the upper room. That would be an ordinary appearance. And a veridical vision, I think, would be an example of what Stephen saw when he was stoned. He looked up and saw the heavens open, and he said, "I see the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God." But the Jewish persecutors about Stephen saw nothing at all. They didn't perceive anything, and they rushed upon him and stoned him and killed him. What Stephen saw was a veridical vision, a God-induced visionary seeing of the exalted Christ. An hallucination would be a mirage, thinking that you see something, but perhaps it's just a mirage caused by, say, heat waves, or maybe because you've been drunk, and therefore your perceptions are mistaken. That's what the disciples may have thought they were seeing when they saw Jesus and wondered what it was that was going on. They may have thought it was just this sort of subjective vision.
Do you think that's why Jesus had to appear so many times to them, that they didn't believe their own senses the first time?
No, I'm not inclined to think that. I mean, here we're getting into theological issues as to why Jesus appeared to the disciples and so forth. I think it had something to do with the commissioning of the disciples to carry the gospel to the whole world, and that lay, I think, at the heart of his appearances and spending time with them.